Everyone, what's up? And welcome back to the fourth and final part of this series about basic pre-flop strategy for Pot Limit Omaha. By now, you have been learning more about raising first in, about cold calling, and also about three betting. And today we're going to learn more about your strategy, how to respond when facing a three bet. More specifically even, we're going to focus on our four bet strategy when we do get three bet. Now, before we're going to jump into the content of today's lesson, I want to quickly mention that I am holding a daily PLO quiz on my Instagram account. Almost every day I publish one quiz on there, which is one question. After the question, there's an explanation with a breakdown of the exact situation. If you enjoy quizzes, if you enjoy PLO strategy, then make sure to follow my Instagram account. And that way you will get to learn more about PLO strategy by using that interactive format. Also, if you enjoy this format, the basic pre-flop strategy series, as well as my other videos, then make sure to hit that like button here. It would be highly appreciated by myself. That way I also know that I can do more of this specific content. And if you have any questions, of course, then make sure to use the comment section below and I'm happy to jump in there. That being said, we're going to jump right into the action here. As mentioned, facing a 3-bet today, basic pre-flop strategy, part 4. Okay, when we do face a 3-bet, today we're going to specifically focus on the low stakes / high rake levels, which is PLO 50 in this instance. I'm going to first start off with a short overview of what is happening here. So when we open raise in early position and face in middle position 3-bet, we are supposed to fold 49% of the hands in our open raising range, call 32%, and 4-bet 19%. Now, if we get 3-bet by the small blind in this specific situation, we're actually folding much less, only 31%. We're now calling 53% and we're 4-betting 16%. Let's look at cutoff versus button. So here we are out of position. We open raise from the cutoff. The button 3-bets us. The action comes back to us. We're folding 41%, we're calling 45%, and we're 4-betting the remaining 14%. If we get 3-bet by the small blind here, in this instance we are in position from the cutoff, we are folding 25%, we're calling 65%, and we're 4-betting 10%. So when you look at these numbers, like what are the main takeaways here? Now the two main takeaways here from what we have just looked at are when we are getting 3-bet, in position, we are supposed to fold less versus 3-bet. And out of position, we are supposed to 4-bet more when we do get 3-bet. That is because in position, we have a positional advantage post-flop. And we have more control over the pot because we're in position and we're last to act. Now, if we are out of position on the other hand, we don't. We're going to play a post-flop pot out of position versus a strong range. And that is going to put us in a lot of tough situations. We're going to do a lot of checking towards the pre-flop 3-better, who's going to do a lot of betting against us. And then we're going to put into this tough situation. Now, sometimes, however, we like to turn a couple of our hands more into somewhat of a 4-bet bluff out of position to get rid of our positional disadvantage and to lower the SPR as much as possible. If we 4-bet and now get called, we suddenly are the pre-flop aggressor. And we have a low SPR against which we can stack off very often here. So those are sort of the main takeaways here. In position, less folding, more continuing. Out of position, more folding, and also more 4-betting to get rid of our positional disadvantage as much as possible. Now let's look into the frequencies of a specific situation here. Facing a 3-bet when we are in position and the MP is 3-betting us. When we are sitting in early position, and the MP is 3-betting us at PLO 50. So again, these are tight ranges. So we're open raising early position. The MP player is 3-betting us with a tight range. We looked into that in a different video. And today we're going to look into the response there. So we're not going to break down everything. Again, this is only early position versus middle position. As you can see here in the yellow bar, aces, we're always 4-betting them. And we'll look into all the other pairs here, from kings, queens, to jacks and tens, to the lowish pairs and the middle high pairs. You can see that there's never any 4-betting if we're facing a tight and strong 3-betting range. The remaining of the 4-bets that we do make here, besides the aces, are coming from double-suited rundowns. You can see double-suited rundowns that do have an ace, but also some double-suited rundowns that don't have an ace. The pairs here are splitting between folding and calling, and here we see mainly folding, and when we are single-suited rundown and we don't have an ace here, we're also calling, but that is because the hands that we do open, they just are open because they also can call a 3-bet there. Now let's look a little bit deeper into a couple of examples here. Aces, as you know by now, 100% 4-betting out of position here. In position, you occasionally can call a few aces facing a 3-bet. Choosing to 4-bet all of them, that's also totally fine, but occasionally calling a couple of them is also a good way to strategize it. Double-suited rundowns. Again, we're looking at 4-bet strategy today. So we know that aces are a 4-bet and we know that all the other pairs aren't. So we're not going to look into kings and queens today. We're going to look into double-suited rundowns, first of all, that do have an ace. We know that double-suited rundowns that do have an ace are a 4-bet early position versus an MP 3-bet 21% of the time. Hands that are candidate to 4-bet here are ace-jack 8-9 double-suited or ace 8-7-6 double-suited. And these sort of balance our 4-betting range that are highly consisting of aces, of course. These hands can flop very smooth, and they also have the benefit of not, for example, blocking kings and queens because we don't have a king or a queen in our hand. And therefore we can fold out kings or queens that did decide to go for a 3-bet preflop. Now hands that are folding here, because I see a lot of players making a lot of mistake here, never folding versus a tight 3-bet with double-suited rundowns that do have an ace. But we still have quite some folds. As you can see, 39% of these hands are actually going to fold. Hands like ace-king 9-6 double-suited is a good candidate to choose, but also ace-10-9 deuce double-suited is a good candidate to go for a fold here. We're basically folding the ones that are the most disconnected. We're calling all the ones that are in between here, and we're 4-betting a couple of the strongest ones that generally don't have a king and don't have a queen here. Now let's look into the double-suited rundowns without an ace, because this is also a great, interesting group of hands that not many players will find into their 4-betting range. Hands like queen 10-9-8 double-suited, jack 10-8-7 double-suited, or 10-9-8-6 double-suited. This group of hands, the double-suited rundowns without an ace, are actually being 4-bet 19% of the time of our open raising range. And that is because, again, these hands, they don't block kings or queens very often, and also they have some potential in case our opponent does show up with aces and get the money in pre-flop. These hands will flop smooth enough, and therefore they are somewhat okay facing a 5-bet getting it in. But the main advantage here of 4-betting here these combinations is that it will give us some board coverage on the mid and low board textures. Because if we only 4-bet aces, of course, these hands don't have a lot of coverage on those textures, but these hands will, and they will play great on all these mid and low textures. And of course, the main benefit here is that we are capable of folding out our opponent's kings or queens that did decide to 3-bet preflop. So keep that in mind. These combinations are fine 4-bets. The perfect connectors are generally just a call, because the EV of calling versus 3-bet is very high basically, or good enough. These hands, they will just have a little bit better potential flopping something, and they will play fine enough in a 3-bet. Well, if we have a gap here in our hand, we have a little bit more problems flopping good, and therefore we rather lower the SPR as much as possible. And if the money would go in against aces, then so be it. It's totally fine. Remember, the majority of your 4-betting range will make up of being aces anyway. So you will become a very tough player if you utilize hands like this into your 4-betting range. Okay, that's gonna be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. 4-part series about pre-flop basic strategy, raising first in, cold calling, 3-betting, as well as 4-betting. If you have any questions about it, then make sure to use the comment section below. We're not gonna break down other positions, other situations too deeply. If you're interested in learning more about pre-flop and PLO strategy, you can check out the PLO Mastermind, which is our subscription course. You can also find the link below. If you want, you can also join our free forum or Discord channel where hundreds of people are talking PLO strategy every day. And it's a great way for you to get to know everything about the PLO Mastermind. Okay, guys, that's going to be it. Thank you very much. Hope to see you soon. Have a great day and good luck at the tables. Bye-bye.